Good morning, guys. Let's see today the trigger parts. We are going to explain how to validate some details and how to compare the values. Okay, the first one, trigger. So, what I need to do is on the employee. Okay, if I have employee record, and if employee company is changed, okay, then I need to throw the error message. Okay, means if I change the company from XYZ company to something else, then I need to throw the error message that we should not change the company name. Okay, that we can achieve through the validation rules, but let's see how we can do through the trigger. Okay, whenever the company is changed means it is on the update, right? So whenever we want to throw the error message, then we should go for the before triggers only, right? So that before update you need to do that. Let's write the trigger on employee. Employee trigger, then check for that employee object. Now here, now here my intention is whenever the company is changed, then I need to throw the error message. Now we have already seen that if you update the record, the new version of records will be in the trigger.new and old records will be in the trigger.old, right? Now let's go and check for that. Now here, if trigger dot is update and trigger dot is before, right? Before update only we need to do. Now here we need to compare two values, right? One is with old employee record and new employee records. So old version of records will be in the trigger.new. This will be having new version of records, and trigger.old will be having the old version of records. Now here we need to compare these two, trigger.new and trigger.old, right? Here let's write the using the for loop. If I can get use like this, integer I equals to 0, I less than trigger.size, then I plus plus. Now here like this I can iterate the trigger, like first account I can get from list, I will get the first employee, like employee CEMP. This is new employee equals to trigger dot new dot get of I. Means at first position what is the record is there, that record I am getting from the new list, and same way I am using to get the old employee as well. Old employee trigger dot old. Now I have the new employee and old employee. Now if the new employee dot company not equals to old employee dot company, means if these two are not equals to true, if both are not equals, then we can treat that there is a change in the company field, right? Now here what we can do is new emp dot add error. Okay, now should not change you should not change the company. Okay, here this is how we can compare the two lists. Means if you want to check whether there is a change in the specific field of the record, then you should do by using the trigger.new and trigger.old. I got the trigger.new, I mean new record, old record, and with that new record field I am comparing with the old record field. If both are not equals to same, then there is a change in the record. Now let's see, if I am using the company name Accenture, try to save, you should not change the company. Now here, if you want to add at company field, you can use like this. Now also, if it's save, then error will be displayed here. Okay, so this is how we need to compare the fields. And one more way is directly we can get it. So instead of trigger.new.get, why I'm using trigger.new.get is, you might heard about this one list, right? List.get we have, right? Otherwise you can directly use like this one. Okay, this is also works like same way. This also will get the first record into the new EMP, and from the first record in the old list into the old EMP record, and we can compare this one. What is that? Oh. And instead of using different variable like new map, new EMP, and we are just storing the record into the separate variable. Instead of separating the variable, you can directly get this and place here. Now here you don't need these two fields. So this is the best way of using the triggers while comparing. Okay, this also will give the same results. Okay, this is how you can compare the values between the old and new. So that is the use of old and new, and old map and new map. Okay, this is the best way to use this one. Okay, now what I need to do is, let's create a field called account or something. Here it doesn't have any lookup, right? I think we have only master detail relationship to company, right? Okay. We have the employee email. Okay, let's create one field called email. This is one type of trigger we have just now. Okay, write a trigger to throw the, let's say, throw an error message if the company is changed. Okay, throw an error message if the company is changed. And second one, now create a field called email. Now let's create one field called email, employee email. We don't have that field. And let's create one more field which is having lookup to contact. Let's have a lookup relationship with contact. Okay, now I need to write the business logic whenever there is an email entered for the employee, whether it is on create or update, and if the contact is null, means if contact is null and employee email is not null, then what I need to do is I need to check if there is any contact is there with the specific email. We know that in the contact we might have the field called email. We have an email. Now when I create an employee or update an employee, and in that case if contact field is empty, if contact field is empty and employee email is not empty, then what I need to do is I need to check if there is an contact, if there is a contact with this specific email, then I need to get that contact and need to update that contact ID into this employee record. This is my requirement. Now let's write the trigger for this. So here we are saying that it should be in the before triggers only, right? Because if you want to set a value, then it should be in the before triggers. Now here what we are trying to do is, so I have already told you that whenever the record is created or updated, then I need to run the logic, right? So then only I have to do this one. Now remove these conditions, this everything. Okay, here what I need to do is, if, okay, we need to run the for loop for employee _c emp, then trigger dot new. This is how we have to run the for loop. This we know that. Now we need to know if the employee's email is not blank and then contact should be blank, then only we need to run that. If string dot is not blank, we have a method, it will check the thing. Okay, is not blank of emp dot employee email and string dot is blank of emp dot contact. Right? Now here what we need to do is, so here I need to write the information like, first I need to get the contact if this email is not blank. Now get the contact like contact c equals to select id from contact where email equals to emp dot employee email limit 1. Okay, now otherwise what you need to do is contact C equals to new contact C equals to this. Now if the contact is not null, let's use this directly. I need to add into emp dot contact equals to C. C dot id, because we should always give the id of that record. Okay, now let's write one employee. Before that, let's create one contact with text contact 1 and email I am giving like gmail.com. Okay, now let's save this. Now go to any employee record, edit, give that email id. Okay, now the record should be populated with the contact with that specific. Now see, this contact has been updated. So here what we are doing, why we are running the SQL query, we don't have the contact, we need to get the contact which is having this email ID. That's why we are running the SQL query and storing into our contact variable, then we are assigning that specific ID here. Okay, then what happens if there is no contact with that specific email? 1 2 3, and I'm removing this. Save. See this. Okay, list has no rows for assignment to a subject. Okay, it means it is saying that it is running the SQL query, it's not returning anything. That's why it is here. Okay, in these cases, in this type of cases, what you need to do is you have to create the list of contacts. Cons equals to new list of contact, or let's use this okay, cons dot get of id, sorry, it will be only one, right? Now let's try what is the error it will give. Save this. Same error, list index out of bound exception, because there are no records coming into this. Now in this case what you need to do is, if cons dot size greater than 0, then only the records will be there. Now here save this. There are no exceptions, because what is happening is we are getting the records into the list, and if there is a record, then list size will be greater than 0, and we are already using that limit 1, means we need to get only one account with this specific email. If we have 100 account also, it will give only one email account. Okay, this is how it works. But what is the problem with this one? Now let's write a code to insert 200 records. Okay, list of employee _c emp is equals to new list of emp is dot add of new employee double underscore c. Then here name I am giving for integer I equals to 1, I less than or equals to 200, I plus plus. emp is dot add emp name plus I. Then we should populate the company as well, right? Let's take the company, one of the company ID. Now employee underscore email double underscore c equals to sysfdc @ gmail.com. Now here how many records will be added? Almost 200 records will be added. So when we are inserting EMPs, so here what are the mandatory fields we have? New company, employee salary is required. Let's say if you execute that, it will give you the error. So too many SOQL queries means per transaction you can use only 100 SOQL queries, but here for each and every record it runs one SOQL query, right? So this is not bulkified, the trigger is not bulkified, means if you insert 200 records this logic should work. Okay, so this is not at all correct way of updating the records here. Okay, this is the best, this is the very simple way, but it is not the best way. Okay, for that what you need to do is first you need to iterate once, okay, get all the emails. Now here what I am trying to do is with one employee I can get one contact ID, right? So I need to get the contacts first. So for getting the contacts I need to run the SOQL query. If I am running the SOQL query inside the for loop, it will fail because the limit will be exceeded, right? Now for that what I am trying to do is let's separate the emails. What I need with that specific email, if I have a contact, then I need the contact ID. That's it. I don't want anything. To get the contact ID, I need to run the SOQL query. Okay. If you are running the SOQL query inside the for loop, it is throwing the exception code that 101 SOQL queries. Right. For that, let's separate the emails. So what for each and every email, we are running one SOQL query. Instead of that, if we get all the emails into one list or one set, okay, and then we can get all the contacts at a time from the SOQL query. So that runs only one SOQL query. Then we will iterate the things and we can populate the values. Now here, instead of doing this, let's create one set of emails like string emails equals to new set of string. Now here we know that dot add of emp dot employee email. Okay, now we have all the emails in one single set. Okay, now let's run the contacts like create map of string. Okay, so when we run the SOQL query, it will give the list of records, right? But what we need, we have one information called email. If we have one email, that specific email which is having contact, that we need the information. So with that specific email, if you have contact, that we need, means we need to send email and we need to get the contact. However, we have done the SOQL query like where email equals something, the same way we need to get. So that's why we are going to use one map, because we can keep email as the key and a contact ID as the value. So what will happen? We have one thing in our hand which is email. We can pass this email as the key to the map and get the value as the contact ID. For that, let's create a map like map of string and ID. The ID means here contact ID. So I'm giving this email versus contact ID. Email versus contact ID. So it means email is the key, contact ID is the value. New map of string ID. Okay. Now here let's run the SOQL query. Okay. For I'm using directly contact C. Then here directly use the SOQL query. Select ID email from contact where email in emails. Okay. Now here we have the contact we are getting from the emails. Let's say how many emails we have added. Let's say 100 types of emails we have added. Then 100 types of emails, 100 emails are added into the emails set. Then we are using in the SOQL query. Now all the contacts which are having this email IDs will be resulted, and those will be iterated. Now let's save those contacts into in this way. Put off c dot email c dot id. Now here what is happening? We are storing the map, we are storing the email as the key and value as the contact ID. Why we are storing the email as the key? We have the email only, so that whatever the key we have, that should be the key. Whatever we have in our hand, that should be the key in the map. Whatever we need, that should be the value in the map. That's why we have created the map like this one. Now again iterate the same for loop. Okay. So here we need to get this specific contact ID. Let's say ID contact ID equals to what we need to do, emp email ID dot get of emp dot employee email. Now here use emp dot contact equals to contact ID. So here I am writing this thing. So instead of that, I can, if I write this same functionality, instead of creating separate one, let's use this. Okay, this is inside for loop, so let's write this here. Okay, now here this is how we have to write the trigger. This is bulkified trigger. Now how many SQL queries run? Only one SQL query will run here. Okay, now let's execute this code. See this. So custom validations we have, right? Validations is date of birth is required or department is required. So in this code, let's add department $C equals to, I have IT or something. See this, employee salary is required. Now the records are inserted and we didn't run into any issues. Now let's see, employees are created. So this is how we have to bulkify the code. Any questions in this code, Murali? Did you understand why we are going for the maps and everything? And another important thing is here, so we have this for loop. Later, if emails are not specified, if emails are empty, again the SQL query will run and again this for loop will run. So we don't want to do that. So then what we do is, if emails is empty, means not empty, then run this query. Okay, so this is how we have to run the SQL query. I mean, we have to bulkify the code. So this is very much important trigger. We might be running into the same type of triggers always. Okay, now what I need to do is, let's create the another field. Okay, I have company, right? So company is lookup to account, right? So this is lookup only. Okay, this is lookup to account. Now here, without company also I can give the code. Here let's remove the company. Okay, let me delete the records. Okay, now what I need to do is, I need to populate account ID as well. Okay, I need to populate account ID as well. Then what I need to do is email and then account ID. You don't need to do anything on that. Now here, so in this case what you need to do is, you need to store, see, if you want to get more than one field values from one record, then instead of IDs, then you need to store the record. With this email ID, if I have contact, then from that contact I can get the contact ID as well as account ID. Now what I will do is, let's use contact instead of this. Same, and remaining thing, everything is ID. That's it. Now if you want to update more than one field values, or if you want to get more than one field values from the record, then you need to store the record instead of separate field. Okay, now let's write this one. I'm giving the email ID like this. Okay, now let's create the company. I think we have already the contact is there, and this contact is having the company. Let's use the company name. So here I'm taking the Accenture and changing the SFDC. What is the email? sfdc@gmail.com. Now for all the records, what I need to do is I need to populate the contact as this contact and account as the Accenture. Means I'm just getting all the details. Now instead of creating 200 records, let's use 10 records. Execute. Now go to this. Here 1 2 3 something around that, then here salary is there. Now let's get the contact and account ID as well. Company name and company as well as contact. Let's see the date of department. Save. Now here if you see that the account is updated as the Accenture and contact is already updated. Okay, so this is how it will be. Okay, so write the same trigger. Now here what I need to do is, in the company I have account, contact, then here I have the leave request. Write the same trigger, like you need to practice the same way. Update the account and contact on employee where it matches the employee with get the contact and its account ID from account ID using the employee email means which matches with the employee email, and update in the employee record. Third one. Okay, now the same way do one thing. In the contact, on contacts you can create a contact without company, right? Without account also you can create. Now here create an email field in the account. Did we create? Now okay, now create a field called account email. Create a field on account email. Okay, now write a trigger to populate the account name on contact when the contact's email is matching with account's email. Okay. Now the same way, if you get the emails like here, if I get all the account IDs and everything, right, I can query the child records as well. Now here we query the parent records, like, so if I want to get the contacts from one specific account, I can use like so let's say I will tell you the thing here. If I want to get all the ID from contact where account ID equals to something, if I give some account ID, here go to this company, execute. Now here you got this, right? Contacts IDs we got it wherever the with the account ID. Now if you have any number of contacts, you will be storing into the list, right? Then you can store the you can check whether the list is empty or not, right? Now what I need to do is throw an error message, throw an error while creating a contact, and if the associated account is having more than 5 contacts already. Throw an error while creating a contact, and if the associated account is having more than 5 contacts already. Okay, so this is the task you guys need to execute as part of today's class.